A courtroom, not a playground, a boy's fight for justice. The gavel struck the oak bench like a thunderclap, silencing the murmurs in the Detroit courtroom. Sit down, young man. This is a courtroom, not your playground. Judge Harold Grayson's voice sliced through the tension, his eyes narrowing at the 13-year-old boy standing defiantly in the third pew. David Thompson didn't flinch. His small frame, draped in a borrowed suit jacket, held steady. The room held its breath, unaware that this boy mocked by a judge was about to unravel a web of lies that would shake the system to its core. But to understand how David got here, we need to step back to where it all began. It was 5:12 a.m. in East Detroit, where the gray dawn clung to the cracked sidewalks of the Maplewood housing complex. In apartment 3B, Sarah Thompson poured instant coffee into a chipped mug, her nurse's scrubs still creased from the night shift. Her son, David, sat at the kitchen table, his khaki pants and button-up shirt immaculate, a spiral notebook open before him. At 13, he was already an anomaly too serious for his age, his thumb brushing the notebook's spine as if it held secrets. Still reading the Constitution? Sarah asked, her smile weary but warm. Just the Fourth Amendment, David replied. Unreasonable searches and seizures. She chuckled, but worry flickered in her eyes. Keep that locker clean, genius. Before David could respond, the door exploded inward. 6 Detroit PD officers in tactical gear stormed in, weapons drawn. Hands up. Now, a sergeant barked. Sarah's mug shattered on the linoleum. David froze as a rifle barrel pointed at his chest. Sarah Thompson, you're under arrest for theft of proprietary corporate data, an officer growled, twisting her arms behind her back. Sarah's voice broke. You've got the wrong person. I don't even have computer access after hours. David's whisper was lost in the chaos. What's happening? The apartment became a war zone. Family photos knocked from walls, David's bookshelf overturned, his mother's handwritten recipes scattered. As they dragged Sarah out, she shouted, David, call Mrs. Jenkins next door. Stay with her and don't get involved. But David wasn't listening. He watched the officer shove his mother, heard the sergeant mutter, another welfare cheat in a suit. Sarah had never taken a dime of welfare. As the door slammed shut, the silence screamed. David knelt, picking up his torn notebook. Something inside him cracked not just grief, but resolve. Across the hall, Mrs. Jenkins, a widowed librarian in her 60s, opened her door. Oh, Lord, come in, child, she whispered, wrapping a blanket around him. Over strong black tea, she said, life doesn't always warn you, David. Sometimes it just kicks the door down. David's gaze drifted to the window, where a patrol car idled like a predator. He opened his notebook, Brady v. Maryland, Miranda v. Arizona, Hudson v. Michigan. He'd written those cases last week, not knowing he'd need them so soon. Justice, he muttered, doesn't wait for permission. By noon, David was at the Detroit Public Library, a sanctuary of marble and silence. He skipped school, armed with a bus pass from Mrs. Jenkins and a mission. In the law section, he pulled heavy volumes of federal criminal procedure, his pen moving with precision. A librarian, M.S. Carter, approached. No school today? Family emergency, David said, not looking up. She studied him, then placed a granola bar beside his notebook. Hydrate. That brain of yours burns energy. Over hours, she watched him devour Supreme Court precedents and legal databases. When she returned, her tone softened. My brother was locked up in '89. Wrong place, wrong skin. Evidence vanished. He served 4 years. David met her eyes. They're saying my mom stole data. She didn't. Her boss, Richard Vaughn, set her up. M.S. Carter pulled a chair. Let's find the right books. That afternoon, David built a timeline, flagging flaws in the search warrant and inconsistencies in the evidence chain. By sunset, he had a list, no signed warrant shown. Evidence in an unsecured drawer. Vaughn's financial troubles motive? He needed proof. M.S. Carter's final words lingered. Knowledge isn't enough. You'll need courage. The next morning, David sat in the legal aid office, clutching his notebook. After 2 hours, Ellen Harper, Sarah's overworked attorney, emerged, brushing bagel crumbs from her blouse. I'm Sarah's son, David said. I have evidence. He showed her his diagram. Sarah's desk, Vaughn's access, audit logs showing Vaughn's late-night visits. Ellen sighed. You're a kid. This is heavy stuff. My mom's in jail, David said. No one else is trying. Ellen crossed her arms. The system doesn't believe people like your mom. Push too hard, the judge crushes it. I can get her a plea, maybe 3 years. David's eyes hardened. She didn't do anything. Ellen glanced at a hallway camera, then walked away. Outside, rain fell in a gray drizzle. David didn't run. He walked, each step fueling his resolve. At the library, Ms. Carter handed him appellate decisions and a list of attorneys known for exposing corruption. Judge Grayson, she warned, had a reputation harsher sentences for black defendants, higher bail. David spent the day tracing Grayson's rulings, confirming the pattern. By evening, he was at Vaughn's office building, sneaking in via freight elevator with help from Ms. Carter's friend, a receptionist. In the archive room, he found a visitor log. Richard Vaughn, July 11th, 11:43 p.m. to 10:06 a.m. Sarah wasn't there that night. A voice startled him. You Sarah's boy? An old janitor, Henry, leaned on a mop. David nodded. Henry sighed. She always treated me like I mattered. Saw Vaughn that night, nervous, stuffing papers in his briefcase. Would you testify? David asked. Henry laughed bitterly. Got a record from 82. No one believes me over Vaughn. I would, David said. Henry paused. Name's Henry. Find me on the 12th floor. The courtroom smelled of old wood and tension. David sat in the third pew, Mrs. Jenkins beside him, as Sarah entered in handcuffs. Her orange jumpsuit hung loose, her eyes pleading, go home. David didn't move. Judge Grayson denied bail reductions, smirking when Sarah said, I'm not guilty. David's blood boiled. He stood. Your Honor, that evidence was planted. The room froze. Ellen hissed, sit down. Grayson's jaw clenched. Who are you? David Thompson. That's my mom. I have proof. Murmurs erupted. David continued. Richard Vaughn had access. I have logs, a witness. The chain of custody's broken. 2 vendors in the audit don't exist. Grayson slammed his gavel. Approach the bench. David handed over his notebook logs. Case law, Vaughn's motive. Grayson skimmed, eyes narrowing. Where do you get these logs? A friend who sees things, David said. A janitor. Vaughn stood, pale. This is absurd. Grayson silenced him, then ordered David to a holding room. Alone, David faced the judge. You're brilliant, Grayson admitted, but reckless. She's my mom, David said. Teach me how not to fail. Grayson sighed, flipping to a log showing Vaughn's midnight access. I'll subpoena Vaughn's records and hold a hearing. But if you're wrong. I'm not, David said. The next morning, David sought Henry. In the break room, Henry pulled a crumpled photo of Vaughn with a USB stick, dated the day before Sarah's arrest. You didn't get this from me, Henry said. David scanned the photo, matching it to logs disproving Vaughn's alibi. He shared it with Ava, the school paper editor, who published it, drawing public eyes to the trial. At a pre-trial hearing, Grayson admitted the photo, shaking Vaughn's credibility. Ellen, now cautious, worked with David. The tide was turning. The final day was electric. Ellen's closing argument was fierce. Sarah Thompson believed in the rules, even when they failed her. Someone powerful needed her gone. The prosecutor, rattled, clung to logic, dismissing the photo as circumstantial. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. At 3:42 p.m., the verdict came, not guilty. Sarah sobbed, clutching David. Henry, in the back, nodded. You listened when no one else did, he said. Ellen smiled. The law bent today. Outside, sunlight bathed the courthouse steps. Sarah and David embraced Henry. Sometimes the world needs braver voices, he said. At a diner, over peach cobbler, Ellen told David, the law's a mirror. You made it reflect justice. Sarah took a teaching job, Henry joined a legal nonprofit, and David earned a Harvard Law Weekend invite. A year later, at a park gathering, Sarah toasted, to justice. David's notebook held one line, justice doesn't shout. It listens. The truth had prevailed, but the fight exposed cracks in the system, racial bias, power imbalances, and silenced voices. What do you think? Share your thoughts below on injustice and violence in our world. Do you believe one voice can change the system, or is it too broken? Take a stand. Your perspective matters.